Rabbitohs Radio Podcast, the number one source for everything South Sydney Rabbitohs.
Welcome to another edition of Rabbitohs Radio. My name is Grant Chappell. I'm joined by my loyal co-host and friend, Darren Brownie Brown. What's doing, Brownie?
Yeah, not too much, chaps, and g'day to all the viewers out there. And sorry I missed the recap of that great win against the Broncos. It was an exciting game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was a special win, Brownie. We got Les's thoughts, my thoughts. You want to have a little quick chat about that one before we jump into the teams?
Oh, look, it was just I think the win was based on effort and defence, wasn't it? Latrell come up with some really big moments, and that field goal was just outstanding. 48, 49 metres out.
Yeah,
and,
pretty special.
You wouldn't put nothing past Latrell, would you?
No, you don't, mate. He was at training there, looking really sharp today. He was putting Ty Munro down the right wing a few times on some of the opposed sessions, so you wouldn't think Ty's too far away. One or two steps at Ty Munro, he's just gone.
Yeah, he's like lightning, isn't he?
He's pretty special, old Ty.
I thought our attack in that particular game, chaps, was still clunky. Obviously, we're missing our orchestrator in Cody Walker. Once he comes back, I think our attack will be a lot more fluent. Going into the break, 14-0, I thought was a really good result for us.
Yep.
The amount of field position the Broncos had. But like I said, our defence was just outstanding. And they had pride in their jumper, and that's all we want to ask for as a fan, as a supporter. That they go out there and have a dig, and that's exactly what they did, and they came away with the 2 points.
Yeah, well, they had a bit of media there today. I think it was Lockie Hubner, Tassie, and Little Jai Gray, and they pretty much all had the same message. They asked what did Wayne say at half time, and basically they just said, look, he just told us to keep believing, keep working hard for each other. This is real simple stuff, you know. And I interviewed Lockie Hubner. That's going to come up later. I might drop that one tomorrow, Brownie, a full episode, about 5 minutes with Lockie Hubner, the young upstart, a bloke who's come down and jumped in some very big shoes of Cam Murray. He speaks about that, speaks about coming from Rockingham, so one to look forward to there. Yeah, Brownie was one of those wins that, I guess, a bit like probably 4 or 5 of the other ones we've had, we didn't really win the game. The other team just... if we hang around, we complete high, they end up falling in a heap, and they sort of beat themselves.
Once again, in trying conditions as well, the rain was teaming down for pretty much most of the game. I think we completed above 80%. And look, I've said it many a times on this show before that if we're completing above 80%, we're going to give ourselves a good opportunity to win the game. And that's exactly what we did. We just hung around there. We kept turning up in defence. Right from the kickoff, I mean, they kicked off to us. I think we had a set, but our first defensive set, I knew we were on. There was energy, there was speed off our line, there was numbers in tackles, and that's exactly what we wanted. And it's got to be the same again this week because we're coming up against a Tigers team that got belted by Melbourne, and they'll be up for the occasion.
Our middles in defence were outstanding, led by Lockie Hubner, and obviously your two props that come in, your Keons, your Jais, and Liverhavili, the big body in the middle. Little Jai did a job there for 10 or 12 minutes. Payne Haas, probably the best forward in the game. Brownie, 153 metres. Normally averages 185. They did a great job on him, and that went a long way to winning that game. But team list Tuesday, Brownie. Might get you to grab the team list there.
There it is there.
It's round number 11. We're playing the Tigers, 6 p.m. out there at Campbelltown Stadium. Not a lot of changes. We're practically 1-17, but we've got one of the greatest try scorers in NRL history coming back on the end of that. I'd say be on that left side again. That's what he does. AJ looked pretty sharp there at training. A real boost to have someone like that in the building, mate.
Yeah, it certainly is. And we will welcome him back with open arms because he's a try-scoring machine. He's got a lot of experience, and if there's a try on offer, he will score it. And look...
We saw that against Penrith. Like he had that first half. He was injured most of the first half, but just a half chance, and it's put the glasses down with this bloke. What do you think him having in the lineup does to it? Does it open us up a bit? Because he really likes to hug that tram line. Opens the field up a bit.
Well, I think it does, but we've got...
You're an old ball player, Brownie. Tell us what that does.
Yeah, well, it does. And it'll put pressure on the opposition, won't it? And expect Latrell to be coming down that left-hand side on many occasions, especially when we get in good field position. They'll be going down AJ's side because, like he said, he likes to hug the wing. He'll keep his space out there and create opportunities for Latrell and the likes and Humphreys and Sullivan to put him over for a try. So, yeah, he showed a lot of speed, like you said, chaps. I thought getting a little bit older, aging in the legs, that he'd slow down a little bit, but he really showed some toe in the last 2 games that he's played. I
He
expected
certainly has.
for him to be a little bit slower, but looked like he put on a little bit of speed.
And that's the professionalism of Alex Johnson. You don't get to, 190 odd tries because you're cutting corners midweek between games. You're eating McDonald's or you're not doing that extras. Alex Johnson's always done the extras. He's been a freak athlete. He could have played cricket for Australia, to be honest. He was a freak cricketer as a kid. Laparoos Panthers Junior. And look, to make way for him, it would have been a tough decision, but Fletcher Myers, who did a pretty good job last week, Brownie, probably the unlucky one to miss out.
Yeah, when there's always an experienced player coming back, there's going to be a player that misses out, and Fletcher Myers has missed out this week, still in the extended squad. However, he won't be playing. Bailey Bentley Harpy, I thought he did a good job on the weekend. He's been really good with the games that he's played. Obviously, it just needs to bulk up a little bit. That'll come over a period of time. But, yeah, really happy for Bailey Bentley Harpy, but a bit unlucky Fletcher Myers because I thought he was really good on the weekend as well. Set up that try for Isaiah Tass. Did extremely well to play the 2-on-1 and, put Isaiah Tass away.
I think also the work that he did, that Bailey Bentley Harpe, who wasn't quite in full training today. He was sort of on the rehab squad, but he'll be right for the game. It's a long turnaround, this one, Friday to Sunday. So he'll get plenty of time to get back on the paddock. He had 17 carries, Brownie, and Fletcher Myers had 8 or 9. Would that something like that come into it when Wayne Bennett loves his workers, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, it just depends. I noticed in the game they did kick down Bailey Bentley Harpy's side. Probably the most inexperienced winger on the paddock on the night. So he would have built up a lot of carries off that. They aimed a lot of traffic down his side. But Fletcher Myers also saves a try on Mariner in that first half when he threw him over the sideline. So
and had a try assist too. That was pretty classy.
Yeah, so a little bit unlucky, but like you said, we are welcoming back AJ, and he's a try-scoring machine.
Well, it's probably the most players I've seen at training was today. 23, 24 out there, proper opposed sessions, lefts on rights, and they changed it up a lot. Fletcher Myers played in the centres a lot today, actually. He's filling in for a few blokes who weren't doing all the full reps with a long turnaround. Your Campbell Graham's the old veteran. He sort of sat out a lot of reps, and he did a good job in the centres, so he's quite a versatile fella. If we have a few injuries again, which fingers crossed we don't, they might reach back on young Bailey Bentley Harpe himself. Now,
well, he can play a number of different positions as well, can't he, chaps? He's played a lot of fullback. He's even played a little bit of 5'8", so we've watched him come through the pathway system, and he's played a number of different positions. So, versatility at his best.
And we seen the front row combination of Jai Arrow, Keon and Havili. We had our say yesterday. What do you think of that combination at the moment?
Oh, look, it was a masterstroke by Wayne Bennett. I said it on the week before. I thought something had to give in that middle. And Keon, I thought was outstanding on the weekend. He played big minutes, many carries, good meters. And Jai Arrow, well, he just gets through a mountain of work, doesn't he? He's a great defender, a great front-on defender, and he did plenty of work as well. So, yeah, I thought it was a good move by Wayne Bennett to bring them two into the middle, and it certainly worked.
And they've decided to leave Junior Totola out at the moment. He's named at 18th man, but he's still got the rehab bib. I believe he's still got a little rib injury. He might be ready after the bye. Rest the big fella up, and if that's what Wayne wants to do, that's what
Hopefully
Wayne.
we get a couple more back after the bye as well. That's why the importance of this game is, extremely high, because if we can win this game, it's like a 4-point game, isn't it? We've got the bye the week after.
And they're going to be pretty smarting after getting touched up by the Melbourne Storm by 60. But I think I said to you earlier today that, look, Melbourne is a side that they might beat you by 60, but you might not have been that far off in the first 10 or 12 minutes, but they just get it so right. They get those first 10 or 12 sets of 6 absolutely perfect. They train it. So often they do the reps so many times that if people get in the right spaces and the right timing, they've got 3 tries on the board and your heads drop off. That's pretty hard to come back from 3 tries in the opening 15 minutes. You've seen us against the Knights. they got it right in that opening couple of minutes, and it was hard for us to peg it back.
Yeah, the round was full of comebacks, but unfortunately there wasn't a comeback in that particular game. But like you said, they're so disciplined in all their whole game, whether it's defence or attack. They do everything right. They do everything to the T. Like you said, they train and do the reps many times. So yeah, credit to the Melbourne Storm. They're a great team, and what makes it even harder is to try and win down there. We haven't done it for quite some time.
Yeah, and look, just on the other side of the fence, the Tigers, obviously coming off a big loss. They've got some real threats across the park. I'm a big fan of this Lockie Galvin. Touches the ball a lot. The influence of Jerome Luai coming into Origin, he's going to want to bounce back there. And even that winger they got across from Penrith. I think Taruva's been a real prolific try scorer, done a good job. But a big loss for Nuabole, who looks like he's not going to take his place in the lineup. He's been one of their better forwards this year.
Yeah, he certainly has, chaps, and he's going to be a big loss. But them other players that you just mentioned, Taruva and Jerome Luai, they've come out of a great system in terms of Penrith, where they've won competitions for the last 4 years. So they bring a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge to the game, and they'll be helping them younger kids of the West Tigers. But Lockie Galvin, a superstar in the making. Obviously, there's been a lot of drama about him over the last month or so, where he wants to leave the Tigers at the end of the year, but it hasn't affected his game because he's been on over the last couple of weeks. I didn't actually see the game last week, so I can't really comment on the Melbourne game, Melbourne Tigers game. I don't know how Lockie went, but look, that's just one game. But he is a superstar. We're going to have to be on our game to really knuckle down and put him off his game.
Yeah, it likes to take the ball to the line, so the boys are going to be red alert there. Now, some signing news. The Roosters today put out a release. Now, whether or not that's to give Schaus the shits or not, but they've said he's finished. We've given him his full release at the Roosters. He'll come over to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. We expect that signing in the next couple of days. People thought it was going to be today. South had other reasons. The signing of him, we know he's not ready for 4 or 5 weeks. Without talking about the off-field cheese, what are we getting on the field, Brownie? What does he bring?
Well, once again, he's coming out of 2 great systems, the Melbourne Storm and the Roosters. He's a premiership winner. He's played for his tests. He plays for his country and many tests for New Zealand. So he's got a lot of experience. He's a premiership winner, and he's a winner, chaps. When he's on the field, he's a competitor. He competes for every play, and he would have learned all that in them systems he's been in. So hopefully that'll rub off on a lot of our younger players coming through. And yeah, he's just an exciting player. He's a great ball runner. He can play a number of different positions. He can fill in at 9. He can play back row. He can play 13. He's strong, and he's just, I think he's a real good signing. And like you said, he's not ready for 6 or 7 weeks. I heard him say today on the James Graham podcast he'll be ready in 6 weeks' time, but I'm sure the Rabbitohs won't be rushing him.
Would he come back for a New South Wales Cup, Brownie?
Nah.
If we're all pretty fit, would he come back for the Cup or straight into first grade?
I wouldn't think so, chaps. I think they'd bring him, back through the top grade, and make sure he's ready to go, and bring him off the bench, I'd say, to start off with, and see how he goes from there.
Yeah, he's a little powder keg, and when he's close to the line, he's hard to stop. Look, he can play just about anywhere, but he's going to have a point to prove. Obviously, being a South fan growing up, he revealed that one a couple of weeks ago. He's a mad South fan. He's always wanted to play for him. The opportunity's come up now. He's taken it with both hands. But the way it finished at the Roosters, I think he's going to have a point to prove, not just to the Roosters, to the rest of the NRL clubs, because not many people are out there after him. I think we were just about the last chance saloon. So a bloke with a lot of pride, still relatively young. I think he's only 27, 28, isn't he? He's gets mentored a lot by guys like Matthew Johns and real brains of the of rugby league. Andrew Johns, I've seen him knocking around with Andrew, so I'm sure they'll be trying to fire him up to get back to his absolute best. So I think it's going to be a good thing for the Bunnies. Not sure what we'll get out of him this year, but you never know. Like by round, I know one game that's going to be circled on the calendar for Cheese, round 27, out there at Allianz Stadium, South Sydney versus the Roosters. Get ready for some get ready for some fireworks in that one.
Yeah, 100%, and we'll be out there for that one, chaps. So Just going back to his last game when he did his knee, look, he obviously has been well documented. He's had a few off-field issues, but I believe when he did his knee last year, chaps, he was getting back to some really good form.
Yeah, he played well.
And unfortunately, he did his knee. His headspace he was in a good space. I know because I know somebody who's been working with him off field. He said he was in a really good space and he was starting to play some really good footy and obviously snapped his cruciate, which put him back on a bit of a downer. So doing his rehab now, he's nearly ready to go. He said he's doing some contact and he's doing a lot of running, a lot of diagonal running, ins and outs. So yeah, he'll be ready to go in about 6 weeks' time. But whether the Rabbitohs rush him in, it'll depend on their medical team.
Yeah, we might get that New South Wales Cup team up there because they're having a game right before first grade at the same venue. They're 355, Brownie. And look, they've made a few changes to this side over the last 3 or 4 weeks because they felt like they didn't have the depth in that grade. And they've had a bit of response last week. They probably should, 2 weeks ago, they should have probably beat the Knights. Only got beat by 26 points to 24. The blokes they brought in, blokes like Javier Pituvaya, Tim Johansson, Amaron Gudjion, they've made a bit of a difference. They're real veteran cup players, and at that level, you sort of need that going in, week out.
Yeah, certainly, chaps. And, coming off a bye as well. They had the bye last week, so they're going to be ready to go, ready to play down there. It's a curtain raiser to the first grade down there at Campbelltown. And they've also got a couple of young blokes that have been pulled up from the Jersey Flag who are just making their way through the pathway system nicely. Hazen Mellors, and you got Penatani as well.
Yep, Penatani. Talanoa Penatani scored a great try last week, went 80 metres. Look, just looking through that lineup, Fletcher Myers has been named on the wing there with Hazen Mellors. Josh Schuster and Louis Dodd gets another opportunity down there to show his wares. Celestia Tata probably had his best game last outing. And grand final player from 2021, Jacob Host, makes his long-awaited return. Hasn't been cited off nobbies for a while, but it'd be good to get Hosty back. Played over 100 first-grade games.
Well, we played Parramatta a couple of weeks ago, chaps, and we called that game for Bar TV. And we were just discussing how many first-grade games the Parramatta team had in their side. I think they had over like 300 first-grade games experience in their players. But now we're starting to get them type of players back. Hosts, like you said, has played 100. Schuster's played over 50. Louis Dodd's played one. Fletcher Myers has played a few. So they're starting to get a couple of experienced players back, which is going to help them in that grade.
Big Shaq, he loves it, Big Shaq.
And Big Shaq, as well. So it'll help the young kids coming through, the likes of who we just mentioned in Hazen Mellors and Penatani. That'll be good for them.
And they're playing for the Sattler Kelly Cup. A couple of the toughest players to ever put on a football jumper. John Sattler, he needs no introduction, but Noel Kelly, what an animal he was.
Yeah, I didn't have the opportunity to see him play live, but I've seen plenty of highlights of both of them particular players, and none better than John Sattler, one of our very own. As tough as they come, reported how he played in that grand final with a broken jaw and won the grand final. But yeah, a tremendous fella as well. Rest in peace to Sats and Noel Kelly. Yeah, two of the toughest to play the game.
Oh, for sure. The Jersey Flag, their entire competition's got a bye this week. They all sit this one out, so that's why they've been able to get some of them young blokes up. Penatani and Hazen Mellors. Looking forward to him taking another step. His second game in camp, he's about 7 or 8 games back from his comeback. He's so athletic. I watched him take a few intercepts today in the second team, so he's really chomping at the bit to try and maybe prick the ears up of a coach like Wayne Bennett to possibly get a run this year at some stage. You never know. And we continue to add some depth pieces to the New South Wales Cup. I believe Brandon Toomuth from the Tigers is about to sign just a train and trial to come over and play a bit of cup. Play some New South Wales Cup, bit like those other guys I just named. 94 kilos, 22 years of age. Again, like Tim Johansson, he's played the one game, 2023. Former New South Wales under-19 state of origin player. So a little bit of talent there, and maybe Wayne can get it out of him or Snoopy.
Yeah, just coming looking for opportunities.
Only 22, Brownie. Yeah, he's a decent size.
Well, they've got a lot of depth there at the Tigers, haven't they? So obviously they're the clubs that you've got to target where they've got a lot of depth, and young kids aren't getting the opportunity. You want to come into a system where you're prioritised, and they're going to put a little bit of time into you, and hopefully that's what they're thinking. The thought is behind them players coming to sign with us.
Well, South Sydney just continue to jump into the market and have a look what's out there. They're not, they're not going to rest on their laurels. They're going to look no stone unturned, not just for this year, for next year and years beyond. They are really active at the moment in the player market. Their driver manager's mad at the moment, so check your inboxes. There could be a couple of signings coming up in the next couple of weeks. Now, the Spa event, Brownie, a very important day, in particular for the first grade squad. They all got a chance to just have a little bit of the history of the club, especially new guys like your Hubners. I spoke to him about it in that interview, and his reaction was, quite surprising, mate.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for both former players and current players to mingle, and there was a number of supporters there, a lot of sponsors, a lot of corporate there as well. So the place was sold out within minutes when it went.
Well, they don't even advertise. It's just the people from last year, pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
well,
hard to get a spot there.
Yeah, it certainly is. But fortunate enough, the Rabbitohs Radio podcast, we had a table there. Sent out some invites. I think you mentioned them already on the show. Nick Fletcher, our CEO of Darryl Lee, was there. James Ajaka, Glenn Farrer was there. Brendan Taliski, your missus, was there, chap. So, it was a really good day, a good afternoon. We raised some good money. And, Shannon did a great job. But more importantly, we got to honour every coach that's coached this great club since 1908, over 117 years. Only 34 coaches, I believe, chaps. And,
the Roosters have had 35.
Yep.
They've had more than us. I think, was it the Bulldogs who come in 1935, they've had 38, 39. So it's a good rap that we haven't had a huge turnover. Guys like Clive Churchill, he coached for a number of years, well over 10 or 12 years. So,
and it was great to see a couple of the wives of some of the former players. John O'Neill's wife, Claire, was there.
Yep.
Robin Coote and Ron Coote were there. Nolan Piggins was there to represent George. And the other one was... It escaped me.
But no, there was plenty.
Oh, Judy McCarthy.
Judy McCarthy.
Bobby. So, it was great to see, the women there. Behind every great man, there's a great woman, and they would have had a big impact on the success that the Rabbitohs had in the late 60s and early 70s. So, it was a wonderful event. The SPA committee, Steve McDermott, Mick Andrews, Sean Garlick, Shannon Donato. I know Jason Clark's jumped on board now. Slaps was there doing his stuff, working behind the scene. Arvin, they do a tremendous job. And not only that event, all the events that we have throughout the year. They put on a weekend away at Mudgee for the Charity Shield. There's a number of games we attend. And, they do a really, really good job for the old boys. Keeps us all connected.
Yep.
And obviously we get together and talk about all the great times that we had playing for this great club.
Yeah, it was certainly one to remember. Even just after it, you get to go down and have a few beers with a few of the old players and stuff like that. So if you do get an opportunity, make sure you get a ticket. They weren't that expensive, to be honest, Brandon, for what you got. It wasn't a bad feed there at the juniors.
Yeah. And I'm sure plenty of other people had a great input, especially like Jeremy Monaghan and Matt, who puts all the, obviously all the videos, and Sonny and all the Rabbitohs staff. So, big thank you to everyone involved. It was a wonderful event. If you get the opportunity next year, make sure you put your name down, because it truly is a great event to attend.
And I think just the biggest cheer of the night, I said it in the last one, Madge Maguire, for him to come down after a loss, we really thank him for coming down. It meant a lot to the fans down there. A lot of people pulled him aside, shook his hand, thanks for what you did. And I reckon he'd be pretty chuffed, mate, walking out of that room. He would have been pretty proud of his achievements at the Bunnies.
Oh, it certainly was. And, you spoke about learning about the history. That's the first thing he wanted to do when he got to the Rabbitohs. He signed from Wigan. He knew a lot about the Rabbitohs, but he really didn't know much about the history of the club. And he wanted to meet George Piggins. He wanted to meet Henry Morris. He wanted to go back. He wanted to, really dive back into the history of the club. So he knew all about it. And it was a really good interview. And he came up trumps in 2014. But there was a number of different coaches there. Tugger was there, Paul Langmack, Artie Katunas, Bill Anderson. I know you spoke about it the other
Bill
day.
Anderson, yeah.
So, and the ones that unfortunately passed away, they were represented by family members. So, it was yeah, just a wonderful event, and couldn't be more proud of the Spa organisation.
Yep, fantastic, mate. You got anything else, Brownie?
That's about it. Just make sure we all get out to Campbelltown. Sunday, it's the last game of the round, 6:15 on Sunday evening. It's going to nice and cold out there at that time of night. But, yeah, hopefully we can get 2 wins in a row, and then we've got the bye the week
There's a bit of an
after.
event there the Borough is putting on. Blake Solly's going to be there. It's at the Beer Shed at Lemire. It's pretty close to the stadium. Josh Kemp's second year he's sort of been a part of that. So that'll be a great one to go to, Brownie. You can stop in, have a couple of beers at the brewery there, and have a listen to. I'm sure they'll have some good questions for Blake and the fans, and he might reveal a few things over there. Who knows? So that might be worth going. If you're going to go out a bit early, just have a look at the Borough Facebook page and have a look at Rabbitohs Radio Podcast Facebook page, because
Just
there's
before
some
we go.
information about that, and I reckon it's a really good event to go to.
Yeah, well, it certainly is. Chaps, I've been to one once before, and they do a great job, the Borough, and you know, where would the team be without the Borough? They're fantastic. I know all the players appreciate them. They travel all around the countryside
Yep.
to follow this wonderful team. And Josh Kemp and the team, they do an amazing job. And there were some Borough members there the other day at the Spa event. So, and just going back to the Spa, Shannon Donato, I don't know whether I mentioned him. He was the MC, a great MC. If you've got, you know, an event coming up and you want an MC to get, make sure you get Shannon. He's
He's a funny
outstanding.
bloke, mate. He's talking about all sorts of things.
Yeah, his material's a little bit the same, but he comes up with a new one every now and
He
then.
recycles it, but yeah, he
Yeah.
comes out with a different. Yeah,
Him and Ella
different
had
outcome.
a bit of a
Yeah,
a
they
ding-dong battle.
always have a running battle. Shannon always comes out on top, but
Yeah.
anyway, all good, but that might be about it for another edition of Rabbitohs Radio Podcast. Up the mighty Rabbitohs.
Up the Rabbitohs.